Hey, what's going on, you little jiggly wigglies out there? We're back for another episode of the Fat Podcast. The first episode that I've been back on, so it's good to see me again, right?
No.
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Nope.
That's gonna be a hard no, right? How you guys doing?
I
Good.
missed you.
Did you fix that crack in your toilet seat?
Jesus Christ! You know what? That was a fucking nightmare if there was ever one. Okay, so the house that I lived in, I've lived in there for about a little over 10 years now. But the house is, it was built back, I think, about almost 45 years ago. They've been there for a long time, and so and I guess piping only lasts so long. That the house has expanded with the weather and over the years and everything. So it kind of just started off as like a problem with the shower because I would turn off my shower and like water was still coming out.
Yeah.
So we initially had a plumber come out and they're like, "Oh, there's something wrong with your stem, like in the little knobs or whatever."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay." And then my mom was like, "Well, she's like, I keep hearing like even when the water's off and the shower's off, we keep hearing like water in the walls or whatever." So the landlord sent another plumber out there, and he was a fucking idiot, but he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys have a leak in one of your pipes,
Right.
He goes, I just don't know where it's at." So he came a couple times, and the fucking guy, he cut like holes in our wall just trying to see where the fucking pipe was, and he's like, "I don't know which one it is." I'm like, "Okay, well now you have fucking holes on my walls over here, and I don't even know where the fucking pipe's at, that's leaking or whatever."
Yeah.
So we got rid of that guy, and this other guy comes and he's like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "The piping is right here where it's at." I'm like, "Oh, thank you," and this guy got it in like 5 minutes,
Right.
So, but the landlord, he's kind of he's a boomer, So he's got to make things difficult. So he's like, "Well, something like that's going to cost a lot of money." So he got his insurance involved with it to kind of see if they would help pay for it. And so they sent all these people out there, and they sent like a guy to do like like an estimated quota. And I guess he noticed in one of the parts where the walls was at that supposedly he said he found a little case of asbestos there.
Oh shit.
But I'm like, but then the owner was like, "Well," he goes, "No," he goes, "Right before these guys came in to rent the house, I had all of that cleared. I put all new, molding or whatever it is, and there was no more asbestos." And the guy was like, "Well, yeah, well, I found this little like less than 1%." He goes, "But but to him it was enough to where he had to like report it or whatever."
Yeah.
So then that created a big problem. So pretty much even before we could have the pipes fixed, they had to have these environmental people come and like quarantine my fucking kitchen and shit. And they had to go in there and like sanitize and like purify all that area and clear it before we could even do anything in there. So, and that was a fucking issue in itself. And we had to kind of only have it on like certain weekends because my mom is working from home right now.
Right.
And they can't have guys in there during the weekend, like interrupting her work. So it just kind of kept getting pushed back farther and farther. So finally, they came this last week and they finished everything and it's a go. So.
That's good, man.
It was a fucking nightmare, though.
Yeah. There's actually a house on the corner over by the studio right here. It was the house was just sold about, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Estimate. Well, about the first week when all this coronavirus shit started, the house caught on fire.
Oh shit.
And they've had it boarded up for a couple of months, and then Elizabeth and I, we were taking the dog for a walk. We walked by it. They have everything boarded up and covered with like aluminum sheets.
Mm-hmm.
And the house, I guess, is completely full of asbestos.
Oh shit.
So
yeah.
They
don't.
It actually happened at my school too. A few years before I started working there, they had to rip out every single wall of the inside of the school because of an asbestos problem. They had to have every single class put on the basketball courts and portable basketball courts. And it took them about a year and a half to get everything fixed completely.
Yeah, that stuff was no joke, like whenever they find that kind of stuff, they just don't mess around with that at all. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then especially with like all the especially with all that coronavirus stuff too, it just kind of made it more of a challenge because they're like, okay, well, is it safe to go in there? Everybody to come in with masks and everything. So
yeah. Well, with asbestos, if it's with asbestos, you have to wear full-on hazmat suits and stuff. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of wish it was a bad toilet now, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just like, that would have been just fucking a lot simpler than that. So.
little bit of backed up shit would have been fine, but
yeah,
that's a long made up story just for you taking a big taco shit and breaking your toilet, man. Come on.
Yeah,
be honest with us. You be honest with us.
Yeah.
Little Taco Tuesday action, and you broke the toilet. But having been the victim of that, in my house through an unnamed party, it's no fun. But it doesn't require like fucking Bob the Builder to come and knock some holes and go, you know what? I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same. I
just don't know.
Yeah, this fucking plumber guy that came out, he's a fucking idiot. I'm like, dude, fire that dude forever. So. Yeah.
You can usually tell too just by looking at the wall where the damage is.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's water in the walls, there's going to be water damage on the drywall that would seep through to the other side. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, just you watch enough Home Improvement, you can tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, glad everything is fixed.
Yeah, man, it's good to go now. I can finally shit in peace at night, so.
Shower.
Shower too. Well, no, because another problem too is that like until they fixed it, they were making us shut our water off at night, so that the pipe didn't burst. So I had to like make sure that I didn't really eat heavy at night, because then if I had to fucking take a shit at night, I was screwed.
You'd have to go in the backyard and dig up a hole.
Pretty much, yeah. Fucking barbaric times and shit. So
yeah, pinch a loaf on the front yard.
Yeah, yeah, like I was squishy or something,
Yeah.
So. Sorry, man. That's the way we were intended to do it.
That's right.
That's when you go to a neighbor you don't like and shit on their lawn.
Yeah, there you go. I got plenty of those.
Me, myself, and Irene style.
That's right.
Break into their house, steal their newspaper,
Yeah. How you doing? It's gonna be a minute.
Yeah.
Or no, is you time it perfectly so when they come out to get the morning paper, the first thing that they see is you hunched over, squatting down, getting ready to fire out a big one.
Good morning to you as well. There you go.
Yeah. How you doing? Yep, there it is.
Yeah, hot start here, guys.
I literally have nothing to talk about because I haven't really done anything this week besides play NBA 2K. That's about it.
Hey, there you go.
So.
Yeah, I've been playing NASCAR Heat 4. And
NASCAR, there you go.
We've been watching New Girl for the last, I don't know, we started like at 10 o'clock last night and started up again at 10 o'clock this morning.
I'm shocked that you actually watched that show because I didn't think it'd be up your alley.
I'm kind of taking a break from it because I caught myself making an observation earlier that basically confirmed that my testosterone levels are at an all-time low. I made a comment about how Zooey Deschanel looks better as a brunette and that her bangs look better than any other haircut. And as I'm saying this in my brain, I'm like, God, what the fuck happened to me? I used to be a man.
I for one blame the lack of sports, man.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
I mean, I've got NASCAR, but that gets me through one day a week.
Yeah,
I need basketball to come back. I need baseball here and hockey to start up really soon.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to grow bigger tits than I already have, and my voice is going to start going up.
Well, I'll say this: if we find out you're watching the WNBA, I will schedule an intervention.
Hey, at this point, I'll take WNBA because I mean, hey, the women in that league, their testosterone levels are probably higher than mine. So
yeah, but it's going to be an imbalance though because they'll have it and you won't, and then you'll be breaking away from the group to make catty comments about the others.
This is true. This is true.
But I wouldn't worry about it, Bubs. It's what, man. You just at some point you got to watch something, and you know what? Hey, if the way that I see it, man, is that you're open-minded. You're willing to try it. I'm going to give it a good shot, and then that's that. But
it's not bad either. It's really it's not bad. It's actually kind of funny. So
yeah, I mean, it's not
I don't mind it. But I got about I'd say about 18 episodes in, and then the show is starting to lose a little bit of its charm.
Oh yeah,
that I liked at the beginning. It was cool.
Not so new anymore.
It was pretty cool, seeing actors that were in the show before they got big, like Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
He's in a couple episodes, and it was funny seeing him play like a character like that.
Yeah.
So, but then there's been other characters on the show, like Justin Long. He's on here.
Shit, okay.
It was cool seeing him on there, but no, I mean, I've enjoyed it for the most part, but it's kind of getting to that point where it's starting to it's starting to treat me like Smallville did, like where I really liked it, and then every episode just kind of seems the same after a while.
Yeah. They just go into like all these like super like extreme pointless plots. You're like, oh my god.
Exactly. But I still enjoy it. It's still funny.
Yeah.
So I noticed with the Zoe Deschanel's character, like she's just like super awkward and off the wall and weird at the beginning, and she kind of loses that halfway through the first season so far.
Yeah.
So
that charm, right?
That charm, and I was like talking to Elizabeth about that, and
they pretty much lose. She loses that after the first episode. After the pilot. So,
well, I mean, there's the episode where they go to at the wedding where she starts doing the chicken dance in slow motion and stuff like that, which, stuff like that. She's like starting to lose that. And I get like maturity and character development, but, with the character like this, someone like that's just not going to change over a matter of 10 episodes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
I'm still enjoying it, though. I mean, it's still a funny show.
What always threw me off is they had, I think it was, who was it, Coach on the pilot?
Yeah.
And then by the second episode,
the very
he's
next
gone.
episode's a different guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He spoiler alert, he ends up coming back.
Oh no,
later seasons. But
I looked up the IMDb just so I could see cast members.
Yeah.
And I noticed that like with him, it said 44 episodes.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, he must be coming back, if.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
But for the most part, I like it. I mean, the last couple of weeks we've watched The Office a bunch of times. We've gone through Parks and Rec twice.
Nice.
And then that's about it.
I've been trying to rewatch.
And then the movie that we are going to be talking about for our list tonight. So
I've been trying to watch Parks and Rec, rewatch it, and I didn't realize how much I didn't enjoy the first season.
Yeah.
There were moments in that season that are really funny, but at the same time, I'm 3 episodes in, and it just feels like, why did I like this first season so much?
Yeah.
So.
The first season is kind of slow, and it doesn't really get its legs until the second season. But it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things, I guess.
It's kind of like it. Like the first season, it's like a test season, like with The Office. Like The Office, and a whole lot of people didn't like The Office because they didn't like the Michael Scott character.
Yeah.
Just because he was kind of a dick. So they reworked him and they gave him different quirks to give him a more likable quality. So I feel that's what they did with Parks and Rec with a lot of characters, like with Leslie, especially Andy. Because Andy was just like a douchebag, dickhead loser.
Yeah.
And then you come back and he's like Homer Simpson season 6. He's just basically like half dumb and he's a simpleton.
Yeah.
But I like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I say a lot of it's probably audience feedback because how many times have you watched a show where you have a character that's one way? Boy Meets World's a great example with Eric. Family Matters with the involvement of Urkel being a little more prominent at the center of it. With The Office, though, I wonder if it's because, obviously, it's an American version of a British show that they were trying to stick, really close to the British version. I never really watched it, so I don't know. But maybe it was just like, hey, we like the idea, we like the concept, hell, we even like the actor, but we got to give him a little bit more, a little bit more character, a little bit more likability. Yeah. Because a character development is very crucial. You start watching a show and you see these characters, and as they progress, the ones that you hate, maybe, or that you don't like, maybe you end up liking, and then you start not liking the ones you did like. So, with a show like The Office, it ran for so long that it really gave an opportunity for that development to happen. And, I've never watched New Girl. It's not my thing. It's, I'm glad you're enjoying it. That's great because it's something you never watched before. So everything's new. But it's just one of those things where some shows got it, some shows don't. And if it starts kind of waning down and feeling like, okay, it's the same kind of shit over and over again, then that's when the show should end. But I don't know how long New Girl ran for, so I think you might be in for a while. Good Lord. And you're in season what now?
Season 1. We're season 1, episode 23 right now.
Okay. Oh, that's another thing too, man. When your
They're
seasons
long,
are back, yeah, you know,
because
that's a commitment, man.
Yeah. But I mean, no, it's good.
I'd say wasn't Parks and Rec's first season only like 12 episodes? Wasn't it like kind of short?
I think the first season was like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And then seasons 2 through 6 were like 22 to 25, and then the last season was like I think another 8 episodes. So yeah, and that's how New Girl is. I looked at all like just the season summaries, and I think every season is 23 to 25 episodes except for the last one, which was only 7. So
I actually
that's a commitment, man.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Well, I mean,
but I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, if you really, you know, are enjoying that show, you know, I mean, it just flies by. So
yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll finish it by the next podcast. Yeah. So I'll give you my my full review by then. So
I was actually I was on you know, they have that app that, you know, that CWC, you know, where they have all the shows around there, but they're like free now.
Yeah.
And they have that Birds of Prey show on there. You know, that one from a long time ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I just happened to I was kind of curious, so I went and I put on the first episode. And I'm like, holy shit.
That's funny.
It was just like, I mean, there's some cool elements about it, but it was just like super cheesy and bad, you know. So
yeah.
Didn't they used to show that late night on WGN?
Yes, I think they did.
That's when you know that your show is a stinker. It's like, okay, we're gonna put it late night on WGN, so its only competition is like fucking infomercials.
Exactly.
Well, I think that really.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I was with that Birds of Prey show. It just really shows how much of a step up Smallville was.
Yes.
Just like cinematically, just like the way they shot it.
Right.
Yeah.
It even looks better. So
I mean, you can kind of tell, like you can kind of tell like the potential, like what they wanted to do, and then of course like Smallville was that realization of it, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in any comic book show, I mean they can only get better from where they started.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, just look at like a lot of the a lot of the early Marvel TV shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Lois and Clark compared to, you know,
Smallville.
Arrow and the Flash.
Oh yeah,
and even Smallville itself. You know, I mean, given that it was 2 different types of shows, but just the quality and the way that the shows were written and shot got better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know? I remember Lois and Clark kind of having the look of like a daytime soap opera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the vibe I got. But I do remember the old ones. I do remember as a kid watching I think they had Superboy and they had Supergirl and you know, obviously a lot of it was
even the original Flash series.
Yes, back in '92. Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah,
you don't remember the original Flash?
No, but I do remember as a kid watching the old Spider-Man, you know, and even it's funny, even as a kid watching him climb the wall just seemed, you know, at least the '66 Batman had a charm to it, but
true.
It's just like, oh wow,
that show was the king of camp. So
oh dude, it was great.
But it knew it was, you know. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't trying to be anything, you know, that it wasn't. So you know, I mean, it worked.
Right.
So yeah.
Totally.
Oh, it fucking worked. It worked, baby. That molded plastic physique of the new Batman's not for Adam West. That was pure West, baby.
Pure
100% West.
Why doesn't Batman dance anymore?
Right?
Yeah.
He's such a fucking Scrooge.
Well, speaking of Batman, I heard that the Batman finally got the green light to go ahead and start filming again.
Yeah, finally, dude.
So I guess they're starting to lift restrictions there. So
yeah.
Now, I do have a question about that. Do you think that a lot of that is coming off of the announcement of the Snyder Cut. Obviously that was a thing for a while, release the Snyder Cut, and then HBO Max, one of their big announcements, like, hey, it's coming next year, and then you're hearing about the Batman, and then people are trying to try to get that version of Suicide Squad. It's kind of becoming a movement. But do you think the Batman news had anything to do, whether it was small or just coincidental, with the Snyder Cut there, Bubs?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of television shows and movies shoots that got put on hold because of this.
Yeah.
And now that things are starting to reopen, I mean, it's just a huge coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, and also too, like the restrictions that we have in America are way different from what they have in the UK where they're filming that stuff. So.
Yeah, and then the whole thing with people wanting the Suicide Squad cut, that's just people piggybacking it off of getting the Snyder Cut of Justice.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, when people hear that something's going to happen, like, oh, they're going to release the so-and-so director's cut of this. Well, then we want this with it too.
Yeah,
people
they can't,
just wanting more and more from it, so
they can't be satisfied with anything.
We should start a joke version of that and release the Lucas cut of the last 3 Star Wars films.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Never thought I'd say it, but release the Lucas cut of Last Jedi and oh God, what was that? Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't exist, but fuck it.
Have you guys watched them since they've been on streaming services yet?
I'm sorry. What was that? Was that Bubs?
Have you watched Rise of Skywalker since it's been available on Disney Plus?
I have, actually, because they have it as ultra high resolution. So I was curious to see. And I mean, it's crazy because I think to a lot of the fans, the 7, 8, and 9 are kind of becoming the feeling that we had for the original 3, and now, or not the original 3, excuse me, 1, 2, and 3, the prequels. And now it's like, you know what? I think I was pretty hard on the prequels, so I kind of appreciate it. And I think time is the factor, dude. Ultimately, if you love Star Wars for what it is and you're a fan, then you're gonna like it, you're gonna see it. Obviously,
absolutely.
if you rank them, there's gonna be some low ones. It's gonna happen, but I'm a fan and I'll watch it. But yeah, I did watch it and it didn't change. I didn't get any more positive or any more negative at what I originally thought when I saw it. It was just really cool to see it in high def. But other than that,
And we'll start like Star Wars to me, with as far as people's opinion, it's a lot like Metallica. It's all generational. It's absolutely. Like, 80s Metallica fans, they only want 80s Metallica. And then people who started listening to them when like Load and Reload came out, that was
they only want version. That. Yeah.
So it's like people who grow up with the original trilogy, nothing's going to touch it. That's the best. There's nothing else better. People who grew up with the prequels were like, well, the original ones are great, but the prequels were also awesome. And then kids these days, like,
have this generation
8 to 12-year-olds who love Star Wars now, 25 years from now, they're going to be like, oh no, the last 3, those were the best Star Wars movies. It's all generational opinions. So,
and just to kind of go off of what you said there, it's exactly what it is. And the problem is that when you see something and it really resonates with you, you kind of anticipate this magic, this kind of like, okay, this is how it's going to go. I think David Lynch said it best when, they brought back Twin Peaks and everyone was excited and then it just wasn't the same. And people like, well, it didn't feel like the original series. Well, of course not. Nothing's going to be. You're not going to replicate something that, had a such an impact in your life. So I think when we watched the prequels after having watched the original and we were so mesmerized and so, enthralled by it and really excited that we didn't quite get the same magic and we felt kind of let down. And then years and years and years later, you realize, well, wait a minute, that was foolish of me to anticipate that sort of thing. I have to give it its own space to be something different, to be something new, to be in that school where it makes me feel a certain way, but it's never going to be, New Hope or Empire or Jedi. And, now with the new ones, they're not going to be that. But yeah, in time, you'll just say, you know what, it's not so bad. It's great in its own way. And when you separate, like Bubs, we talked about this several times, when you separate yourself from, okay, so I'm going to watch Phantom Menace. but I'm going to remove my thoughts and feelings of New Hope and so on. You actually like, this is great. This is actually pretty good.
Yeah, because you separate it.
I'm not
Yeah.
expecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I have watched it. And again, it's just the same feelings, and I don't know. The more and more I think about it, dude, like when you hear about like, well, the studio did this and I didn't get a chance to do that. I get that. That's Hollywood. They always want to stick their fingers, and people that don't know shit about something want to have the final say. But at the same time, what is there, it wasn't that great to begin with. So it's like, I don't know if those ideas you had would have really changed the tone. Sure. You know what I mean? The Snyder cut seems to kind of have its own merit because there was a lot of things cut that we didn't get to see that, obviously might change the impact of the movie. So, I'm excited to see it. I don't have HBO Max now, but as the date comes, I might, if they have a 30-day trial, and might do that, I don't know.
I think it's a 7-day trial.
Yeah. I mean, even then, like I'm not gonna sign up until that's on there anyways. Although I did see if they have all of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on there, so that was kind of enticing.
It's all HD and everything. Also,
do you have HBO Max, Dave?
No, I'm waiting like Crispy. I'm waiting until the Snyder cut to sign up for, because it's like $15 a month.
Fuck that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Here's my problem with it is that they advertise it as like a one-stop shop for DC content,
but it's not on there
for like DC shows and movies. Yeah. There's only a handful of shows and movies
on there. On there. Yeah,
I'm like,
because a lot of them are
you own the copyrights to them. It's like, just put them on there. You own the licensing for it.
Is that because a lot of them are on that EC?
Yeah. And then that's like another $8.
Yeah.
Because I was going to sign up for that because I've been wanting to watch Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And also I want to watch the Harley Quinn animated series.
Me too, yeah. Me too.
I had...
It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, is it good?
It's hilarious. I watched season 1. I deactivated my account just because really the content's not really worth it that much, because I have all the Batman the Animated Series on TV, so I don't need that. I started watching Superman, but like really for me, it was just a time thing.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time to watch everything that I want to watch. So
like pretty much like once you watch what you want to watch, it's not really like worth it after that, or what? I mean, if you don't have the time anyway, Yeah.
Right. And as far like they have a lot of the animated movies on there, which is great. Yeah. As far as the live action movies, they don't have all of them. They have like the original Batman movies. Okay. But like they don't have Justice League or Batman versus Superman or
the Dark Knight or anything
or
like
any
that.
of the Dark Knight movies. So
those are on Hulu.
The current licensing, because even if you look at Disney Plus, they don't have all the Marvel live action. Yeah. It's because the current licensing with all the other channels or platforms. But you know what though, dude? I mean, we nowadays, it seems to be the general consensus, we could just split the account. I mean, we do that with YouTube Red, so instead of paying the $15 yourself, we all split it.
Yeah, that's designed that way though, and sadly with how they do certain things, it's that they could find a way to ban people from signing in at different IP addresses.
Because they only allow you like a certain amount of devices at a time, really, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
I
know with Netflix, like if you sign up for the highest tier, you can have like 3 accounts going at the same time, but only 2 of them will be in HD.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, because I use Bubba's Netflix. Who has your login? Because it seems like a ton of people have your login.
Well, it's just me, Elizabeth, CJ, Unc and Leanne, and then the guest account.
Whoever has the guest account, they've been watching some weird shit. So
really,
yeah,
I'll have to check it out. I don't know.
What is this?
Like, because that's the account I use.
Maybe CJ gave the account information
to friends or something.
I told him which I told him not to, but that's an easy fix. So
it's probably written on some bathroom stall.
Yeah. It's just, well, I had that problem like. you know that big TV, like Little Rob's big TV that Nanny bought.
Yeah.
That had like the apps and everything, and it had Netflix. So I signed in on it, and then probably about after she sold it, because I think she only had the TV for like 2 weeks before she ended up selling it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just like a bunch of stuff like on there that people were watching because I forgot to log out on there.
Oh, really?
So it was like the Taylor Swift had something on there, like a movie or something. Like they'd watch that, and then like High School Musical or something like that. And I'm just like, who the hell is watching this stuff, and why are they watching it?
Yeah, why?
So.
You know, that's the equivalent of back in the day when you'd buy a VCR at a yard sale and there was a tape in it, and you're just like, oh, I got a free tape, and you pray to God that whatever's on that tape was good. Because I've heard a few horror stories back in the day. So, no, but I mean, you know, it's interesting because, you know, one person then becomes two, then becomes four, then you're just kind of going through it and you're just like, hey, man, this is your account. What the fuck are you watching? I'm not watching any of this shit.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know. It is what it is.
I don't think I pay for any streaming accounts right now. Like at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm just.
I canceled my WWE Network account, and I'm never signing back up for it.
Yeah, I have to do that this month.
Well, they have a free one now.
Yeah, I'm not going to sign up for it.
Yeah, so.
Then I piggyback on Bubba's Netflix, and like whenever I do watch the WWE Network, I piggyback on Crispy's account.
There you go.
Hey, that's perfectly fine. But just again, that's a great example. You go through my playlist, you go, God damn, dude, is he really watching? Sometimes I just want to watch a match, so I'll just put on Super Brawl 6 or fucking WrestleMania 8. I just want to watch a match, but I go through it. To me, man, that library is worth the $10, dude. Like I said, if I had the money when I was a kid, I would have totally bought out my local video store's wrestling supply, and I would have been fine. But I justify that. But also, too, one of us will have it. So when everything gets back to normal and there's a decent, WWE show going on, we want to watch it, we can always check it out because I'm going to keep having it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like if the DC universe was the same way, like if there was something legit about it that really was worth the $8. Like, I don't know, don't they have the unlimited comics as part of it? Because I would say it's probably worth $8 if you're, because the Fish is all about that, man. He has the DC account. He says he mainly use it for that access of the comics, but I guess it's not too bad because some Shutter's like $6, Shudder, whatever it is. But
like I mean, I have I think too the only one that I really pay for right now is just my Disney Plus. And then, like I said, I'm thinking about maybe just doing maybe like a trial of the ECU universe so I can watch the Harley Quinn show and all that stuff. So,
I'll tell you one thing about the DC universe, that Harley Quinn show. Fucking Bane is one of the best characters on that show.
Hell yeah.
Nice,
dude. You could just YouTube the best of Bane from the Harley Quinn show, and it's just like clip after clip of like hilarity, man. Like it's so good because he's drawn from like the animated series, but he has the Dark Knight, voice. Rise's voice. And,
shit. Okay, there you go.
It's great. And there's a lot of big names voicing those characters, and I don't know, it's really good, man. But you could probably get away watching it on YouTube. So
for that.
They show it on late at night on TNT as well.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
It's probably
cable though. Yeah.
Edit it out, and a lot of the parts are good.
Well, they I mean, a lot of the language they edit out, but for the most part, like the violence and the gore and stuff, they don't censor out.
Oh, God bless TNT.
So
after 10 o'clock, they can pretty much show anything.
Yeah.
Besides like porn or anything like that.
Well, because especially on like FX now, like all of like the late night shows with the show now on like FX, like they can cuss and say the F word now. So.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because because I was watching like when I was watching the later episodes of like, for example, the Mayans, like there was F-bomb this, F-bomb that. Same thing with like the with Dave show, same thing. Yeah.
Rescue
Me was just on Hulu. I thought that was a Hulu thing because they show it on Hulu. Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, hats off to FX.
Yeah.
Rescue Me was like that. Like, I don't think they ever dropped any F-bombs, but like, they had some pretty like colorful language that they used in the show, and they got away without having to censor it. So
really, the only show that I ever saw drop an F-bomb on it was South Park.
Yeah, there you
go. And I remember they promoted that too. So.
Well, I remember they made a big deal about how many times they could say shit on one episode. So,
they had the shit counter.
Yeah, that was a gimmick episode that was actually turned out to be pretty funny. So
it was the curse words being cursed. Yeah, I remember that. God damn, that's fucking South Park still going on like fucking 50 seasons later.
Oh
yeah. South Park does this weird thing where it'll have a really good season where it has like a lot of like memorable memes and like moments and whatnot, like the member berries and all that. But then they'll like the next season they'll be like it'll be like awful. A dud. Yeah. So it's the weirdest thing.
It's kind of like Broken Lizard films where every other one is good.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
With the exception, I mean, I get Club Dread was okay. I mean, you had Super Troopers, you had Club Dread. But then if you really kind of go through all the films they made, like some of them, I mean, the Slam and Salmon for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah. Sure that.
So,
I don't know. It's kind of a hit and miss, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys. I got to take my meds.
Okay.
For sure. Do your thing. Well, when Bubs gets back, we'll start the list.
Yeah.
I guess something's going on with Dave. It's distracted. I don't know. You all right?
Sorry about that. Claire needed to tell me something about the neighbors. So
they're being neighborly.
They replaced one of the windows with like a brand new like good window.
Yeah.
And that's been one of our big issues with this apartment is that the windows are like from like the 1980s. They're awful. Yeah, like they don't close all the way. Like they don't slide properly. They're like super thin glass, so it's either it gets way too hot or way too cold all the time. It's just awful. So
that's because they didn't get those really good power windows from the 80s, like Rush talked about, right, Mike?
That's right.
That's I don't care what anyone says. That's still one of the best names for an album I've ever heard. Power Windows.
It is. It's fucking great.
Oh man.
I don't know. Sports was a pretty good album name, considering it had nothing to do with sports.
That's an iconic cover, man.
Yeah.
You know. So.
I know we stole it.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 times actually.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There it is.
Oh man. So,
all right. Well, let's. Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing you are, Dave. So I'll let you have it. Go ahead.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to discuss before we get into the list?
No, we're good to go.
No.
Let's get to
it. We talked about it at the end of the last episode. Our top 5 for this week is our top 5 favorite Pixar films. Now, obviously, this is like all of our normal lists where we'll do the points and everything.
The fat list.
Fat list. We'll do the fat list, then we'll talk about our individuals after that. Okay. So, we're only doing top 5 because I thought that would make it a lot harder, which apparently, according to Crispy, it was a lot harder to do a top 5.
Fucking weeks. It took me fucking weeks to do. For one, having to watch a lot of the movies was number one, but number 2, it's just because there's just so many damn good ones that you had to really break down and start thinking, okay, what about this film makes it better than this other film? So the time we spent, I think it's the longest time we've ever spent on a list. And I got to say, man, I for one am grateful for it because when I finally turned in my list, I was happy. I was, content and just really up to the 11th hour on that one, man.
Yeah.
So
I did kind of have to like switch around my 1 and 2 a few times because I was kind of torn, so.
Yeah, really stressing out about it. I see, Mike.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same. It was pretty much the same with me for the my top 3.
Yeah.
And then I had to hold on. Give me 1 second.
He's still not sure. Yeah. But I don't know. Bubs, did you kind of run into that problem where it's like I have to watch a lot of these films to give it a fair assessment? Yeah.
Well, like there's 22 Pixar films in total.
Wow, yeah.
And I've maybe watched 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a conscious effort to like actually sit down and watch as many as I can. I think I've watched 19 of the 22 now.
Okay, very
good. Not bad.
So yeah. So I mean, the only movie I think really the only ones that I didn't watch were The Good Dinosaur, Incredibles 2, and WALL-E. I haven't watched those yet.
Oh, okay.
So I would say for sure one of those 3 as like it's a bummer, man, because WALL-E is a great film, but you didn't miss anything with The Good Dinosaur and Incredibles 2. I mean, if you've seen The Incredibles, you get the gist, you know. But I understand.
For that,
it's a chore, and you know what? Not all of them are on Disney Plus or the other streaming sites, so it kind of became a whole like, well,
mission.
How do I watch them? Yeah.
Like one that I didn't have on my list was actually The Incredibles. You know, I understand Pixar was doing their own thing with superheroes and everything like that, but for me, it's just a borrowed kind of feeling with the movie.
It's a Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it's the Fantastic Four based family environment.
That's true, yeah.
So I was just like, I've seen this before. It's not as special and it's not as great as people think it is. So, and it's entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but it's just not my favorite out of any of them. It's probably out of all the movies I've watched, it's my second least liked movie I like out of all of them. So
I will have to say that I don't know what the majority opinion is on this, but I enjoyed The Incredibles 2 more than The Incredibles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I liked the fact that they didn't like produce a sequel right away.
Yeah.
So, because they literally they put the sequel like right after like the events of the first one.
Yeah, but it was like 10 years later or whatever.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, it took them like 10 or 15 years to produce the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Or something because they didn't want to be like, oh, let's just recycle the same film, which is what you kind of get with Toy Story, and we'll get into that later. So.
No, I in closing with that, I would say I agree with you. I think that it's of the Pixar movies that do have a sequel to it. I think it's on the upper tier of the goodness there because it works. The time spent, usually sometimes when you wait too long for a sequel, it doesn't deliver. If you do it too quick, it doesn't deliver. But there's usually the right ratio, and I think The Incredibles 2 kind of found that. So I'm with you on that, Dave. Excuse me.
Before we get into the list, I did want to mention a couple of honorable mentions, just one honorable mention that I wanted to put on my list, but technically it was a short film and not a film, and that was Kit Bull.
Kit Bull was very awesome. Yeah, I love Kit Bull.
It is very, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that it's only like 10 minutes long or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever cried that much watching a short film.
Yeah.
Like it just like it really cuts at you. It's about a street cat and an abused pit bull.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You're not gonna start crying talking about it, are you?
No, I'll be fine. I've only watched it like 3 times, and every time I've cried my eyes out. So like it fits that lore of Pixar where it's very heartfelt and very sad, but it also has like a happy ending in the end. So like if I would have included short films onto my list, that would have definitely been probably like number 2 or 3, to be honest.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was nominated. I know it was nominated for an Oscar this last year, but it'll win though. I think it won for the best animated short, actually.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. And another thing I liked about it was the fact that it's drawn as opposed to being 3D.
Yeah.
Being like a
animated,
3D film. Mm-hmm. So like that was an interesting thing for especially for Pixar, because that's what Pixar is known for.
Yeah.
Like computer generated animation. Like this like drawn out and everything. It's just a very beautiful film, but sadly it's a short film, so I couldn't include it. But do you guys have any honorable mentions before we go into the list? Like that, obviously don't reveal what's on your list, but is there anything that you want to talk about that you maybe just missed out or anything like that?
Probably I think for mine it's another short film. Well, I mean that one's great too, but the other one that they had were the, with the dumplings, where it was that Asian lady in the dumpling. That was a great one too. So,
what was that before Inside Out?
Yeah, I know it was before
or Coco.
No, it wasn't before Coco because they showed a Frozen one before Coco.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
No, you know what? No, I want to say it was either in front of Incredibles 2. I think it was where it was there. Yeah.
That's an interesting short film put before the Incredibles.
Yeah.
But is that it for honorable mentions?
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
I just say really quick. I don't know if it's an honorable mention, but after watching Toy Story 4, I do understand why they made the film. Because to me, 3 was a great way to end it. I felt like, okay, this is good. If you keep going, it's never really going to end. But it made a lot of sense because it was kind of like, all right, well, what is happening with them? Because you do wonder, okay, new owner, everything's, kosher, but what is, happening to them? And just kind of want to check in and see what's going on. And then from that ending, it's like, okay, we're officially done. There's really no need to kind of go back. But it's kind of like, you say bye to a friend. It's been a long time. You get a chance to see them, catch up with them, one night only thing, if you will. So I will say that I do have an appreciation for it. And I guess I would give it an honorable mention in this regards because it definitely it deserves to have been made because I was just like, why make another one? It's like 3 was so good, but I'm kind of glad that they did that. So I just wanted to say that, it's great film, by the way. Great film.
All right. We can get into the list. We do have 3 ties in our top 5.
Of course we do.
Yeah. So there will be some debate going on.
There you go.
Number 5 with 7 points is Toy Story 2.
Oh wow. Okay.
Now, like usually we typically when we put these lists together, like if something's a part of a series, we'll just say, oh, it's the Toy Story series, or it's this band or this group of bands or whatever. But I felt with Pixar films, like they're all kind of their own individual thing, so that's why I just put Toy Story 2 on my list, and that's why it was on my list.
Well, see, if I knew that was going to be a part of the ground rules, then I would have voted a little bit differently.
Oh, okay.
So,
another thing is I should have been more specific, but
yes, you should have.
Yeah. But Toy Story 2, personally, I feel it's superior to the original in both story and just the way that it looks, because that 1995 animation style does not really hold up that well.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, we'll get into it because guess the spoiler alert. But Toy Story 2, like, it's very like my best comparison is sort of like like the original, like the Raimi films, like the Spider-Man Raimi films. Like they're all very similar in the sense, but there's just slight differences, and I think Toy Story 2 probably does it the best out of all 3 films. It's just like it's like the comedy's better, the story about them trying to get their lost friend or whatnot is, I think it's better executed. And I think one thing that put it over was the Spanish. Or wait, was that Toy Story? Was that Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3?
3.
I think that was 3, maybe.
That was 3.
Is Toy Story 2 the one where they go to Al's Toy Barn?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that's Toy Story 2. Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
one with Al's Toy Barn is the one where they take Buzz's battery pack out.
That's right.
And they flip him over to Santa.
That's right.
That's 3. That's 3 because that's when they're at the daycare and they reset them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
But they reset them.
but they end up the one I'm thinking about is they end up encountering the like the other Buzz Lightyear that ends up busting out of the box.
Yeah.
And follows them into
wasn't he like
Al's,
he's like, is
Al's
this what it was
apartment.
like? Yeah.
Yeah. And then like all the Star Wars references and whatnot.
Yeah.
I thought it was
just watching like Toy Story 2 and even Toy Story 3, just because the sound was done by Lucas.
Yeah.
And
THX.
by THX, and all of the sounds that they shared with Star Wars, just in like the space scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, that was the sound of an X-wing. That was the sound of a TIE fighter. That was the sound of a lightsaber. Oh, look, they're using Darth Vader's breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
did they did they purchase Star Wars before Toy Story 2 or?
No, I think it was after.
No.
Was it after?
Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know. It's just very enjoyable. Like when I go back and watch Toy Story films, that's usually the one I go back and watch, like probably the most.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against 3 or 4, but like I think just the I'm blanking out. Whatever. Go ahead. Continue.
Well, first off, I agree 100% with what you said earlier about the film. To me, I like to think of it as, give you a comparison, is a band putting together a really good demo tape on their own that sounds good. That'd be Toy Story 1. Toy Story 2 would be that same band going into a studio with an engineer making that same record. So, an album, I mean, Toy Story 2 is one of the rare times where a sequel actually surpasses the original. It's also the last where the toys have their own story, because 3 and 4 really seem to become about, the owners and that. Yeah, so, true. It felt like the first film to have its kind of interesting, story where, we got a little bit about Woody in that one. So it kind of, the jokes were better. It was put together better. Interesting enough is that film, when they were making it, the original cut got deleted accidentally in the system. And luckily, one of the animators, I think this is a story, they had it saved on a hard drive, and they still had to, basically go back and do a lot of it. But, we almost lost Toy Story 2, and they were going to go with a completely different idea. So the fact that it was kind of the movie that almost didn't exist does kind of help put an extra charm to it. But when you really break it down, I mean, it's just a well-written story. I mean, the intro is really cool. Just like in the first one, you kind of like, well, what am I watching? What's going on? And then as it plays out, it goes from there. And then, you got a great cast. I mean, Kelsey Grammer, playing the old, what's his name? Pickaxe or whatever, Smelly Pete or whatever.
Piccolo, something like that. Yeah.
Stinky Pete.
Stinky
Pete, yeah. It just adds another layer to it. So, to me, you can go back and forth about which is the best, but Toy Story 2 is definitely a film that you watch when you're a kid, and you watch it as an adult, and you'll appreciate it more, which is what happened to me. And, spoiler alert, I guess that was my number one pick. So, Toy Story 2, I think is great there. The end.
Sweet. Yeah, the end.
Fade.
Any other thoughts on Toy Story 2?
No.
I agree with everything.
All right. Now, here's our ties, because we have a tie for second, technically. A 3-way tie for second. So the films are Onward, the original Toy Story, and WALL-E.
Okay. Wow. For number 2, right? You said?
Yeah, for number 2. Okay. So we need to rank 4, 3, and 2. Now, I watched Onward once, and it left such an impression on me that I was like, I was seriously like, man, I don't know if I need to make this my number 1.
Yeah.
Like my top 3, I was just like, oh man, I don't know what to put as my top, because Onward and WALL-E were both on my list. And just the impact and the story of Onward, I'm not really too much into like magic and
Yeah.
like the Dungeons and Dragons like lore and whatnot, but
Yeah.
like just the story of like two brothers and everything, and trying to see their dad one last time through like this like magic thing, and it's just like it hit me like right in the mouth, like right in the heart. So
well, and that's how it was for me. Like you were
It was
saying
very emotional, yeah.
you were saying, Dave, with that one with the short film that you're talking. The last, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes of Onward, I was a fucking mess.
Yes.
You know, because there were so many parallels with that movie, especially with me and Dave, because we lost our dad when I was 3 and David wasn't even born yet.
Yeah.
So I just kind of felt like a connection with like Dave and I with those characters, like me, the Chris Pratt character, and Dave, the Tom Holland character.
Yeah.
Like I just felt it was probably the most personable movie I have ever watched.
Yeah.
And I sat there and like I think that was the first movie that I watched when I started watching the Pixar films. And I'm like, God damn. I'm like, that's easily my number one. And spoiler, it was number one on my list.
Yeah.
But just the emotional attachment, the story relatability, and it was just a well-written script and a fun story too. Like when I saw the trailers for it, I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that shit. I was like, that looks stupid.
Yeah.
And then like when I read more about the synopsis and everything, I'm like, oh, it might be okay. And I just kind of didn't want to watch it at first just because of the subject matter that it deals with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really want to watch it. But when I did, oh my God, I was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
But it was just such a good movie that it was easily became my favorite Pixar film.
Yeah, definitely catching the feels, and like it's one of those where you were kind of like glad to be proven wrong about what you thought about it,
Yeah.
Yeah, like after I watched it, I'm like, yeah, I think Bubba would enjoy this one. So
yeah,
I think and I share the same thing with Bubba. Like that's what it really like. It was a very personable film.
Yeah.
Like now, granted, we don't do magic, and we don't have wizards and goblins and whatnot.
Speak for yourself, moron.
But just like at its core, two brothers, on an adventure, like, and everything, and what they were going after, like, it was like, wow, that I don't think I've ever felt that like close to a film.
Yeah.
Like ever. I think like I said, it was a toss up for me on my top 3. So like that, and I've only seen it once. So I can't wait to watch it again. I wanted to put a little bit of time in between watching it, but like I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, I'll have those moments where I'll have to go back. I'll just be feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to go back and watch it again just to see if it hits me the same, which more than likely it's probably going to.
Yeah.
So
I think what stood out to me without spoiling it, because I know Crispy hasn't seen it yet, right?
No, I was gonna say, but everybody kept talking.
Mad Mike, you haven't seen it, right?
No, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it. Yeah.
Without spoiling it for anybody who hasn't seen it, like the ending is not what you think is going to happen.
Right.
No.
Like, and that's what I heard originally, because I was listening to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, and they were talking about it, and Kurt Hawkins mentioned that it doesn't end the way that you think it's going to end.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, that sounds interesting, because I read the synopsis and I was like, okay, it's probably going to end this way. And then when I heard that, I'm like, ooh, I wonder how it's going to end. So that's what actually got me to watch the film.
Yeah.
So.
And you are kind of hanging on like every hook at the end. You're just kind of like, oh shit, So.
I'm gonna talk because I've been trying to. That's what I wanted to say. So yeah, I haven't seen the film, so obviously my critique and it's doesn't mean anything. But hearing what Dave and Bubs said, and how that film made them feel, to me that's exactly what a film should do, what a great film should do. I mean, all films should entertain you. That's a given. You know, you can't say I like a film because it's entertaining, because it's supposed to be entertaining. That's the fucking point. But it's what it leaves with you, what you take away from it. I mean, you see it in the theater and you walk away. It's just inside of you. Like it's really tugged and really grabbed a hold of something inside. And you know, from your guys' personal story and from all the information I know from the conversations that we've had, you know, honestly, you know, watching that really, you know, the words you guys use, you know, are great, but I don't think it truly expresses, you know, when you guys watch that movie, how it made you feel and you know, afterwards, and you know, what was going through your mind and everything. So I want to say, based on that emotional connection, I mean, it's really hard to argue that film should be number 2 on the list. I mean, you know, the other films are really good, but I don't think you're going to hear the same emotional connection. And to me, that is a very, very big deal, and that's a deciding factor what separates, you know, good from great. So for me personally, man, I would vote that to be number 2, even though I haven't seen it. But just hearing you guys and knowing what I know, I'm just like, you know, I mean, that's a very powerful film. So I'm gonna, you know, honestly, like, I had heard some stuff about it. I wasn't in a hurry to watch it, but you know, that's the kind of testimony from your friends when they say, hey, you should watch this film, it's great. And when you really kind of break it down, it's like, okay, you know what, I believe it's great, and I'm gonna go ahead and add it to my list and watch it soon. But also too, you know, that's very, very you know, I don't want to say gutsy, but very heartfelt of you guys to really bring up, you know, your personal experience. So I mean, I for one appreciate that, and you know, thank you for that, because it does make a difference when you're, you know, talking about something and, you know, how good it is or how it makes you feel. So, you know, guys, thank you very much for that.
Like it's gonna hit you even more is if you've lost your father, or if you've never got to know your dad. It's really gonna it's really gonna hit you there. Like if you need to like ask somebody about how much of a blubbering mess I was, the next time you see Elizabeth, just ask her. Like I was like, I had to stop and pause the movie for about 10 minutes just so I can just calm the fuck down.
Oh wow.
So I don't get like that with most movies. Like there's movies that'll make me cry, or you know, like bring out certain emotions in me, but Onward, man, that movie just, God, it fucked me up, but in a good way.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if maybe we should have the balls at some point in the future to do a list of the films that made us cry and talk about it.
Rocky Balboa, number 1.
Yeah,
Rocky Balboa was the first movie that made me cry in theaters. The scene where he's outside of the skate park, or the skating rink.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Adrian. I'm like, you motherfucker, fuck you so much, Stallone.
It's like 5 minutes into the movie, you're already crying.
But and then also too, later on when Paulie's like, "Are you mad because she left you?" and he's like, "She didn't leave me, she died." It was just like, damn, dude, that was a Rocky Balboa punch to the fucking gut on that. Because, oof. But we'll get to it. Just food for thought.
We've done our Rocky films. I still think that's a very, very underrated and underappreciated Rocky film. So,
Bubs agreed, man. Absolutely.
But I agree with Crispy. Like, just as a list in whole, like I have to put Wall-E at number 4 just because I've never seen it. But for me personally, I would have to put Onward at number 2 just because of how personal it was to me and how connected I actually feel to that movie. Like we were at Hot Topic yesterday. We actually went to the Brea Mall, which was awesome because it's been out like 3 months. But they had the vest for.
They're doing it. Yeah, that's really cool.
Elizabeth's like, "Oh, you should buy that. You should wear that." I was like, "I can't steal Mad Mike's style."
Well, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna lie. Like when like the movie first came out and like the Hot Topics were still open, I was actually thinking about buying it, but I was like, nah, I don't know. But thank you for that.
You know, I get what you're saying. It's definitely the Mad Mike thing, but I wouldn't worry too much about it because you know he likes to rock that one hat, but Jeremy's been wearing it lately and is making it his own. So I think Mike would appreciate that if you make it work. Then fucking do it, man. You know, because the vest takes a certain individual to rock, and you know, but
you can rock it, Bubs. I mean, you got the beard and everything, so man, you can rock it.
I think you give it more of a Han Solo vibe. I think so. By all means, man.
Absolutely.
You know,
for sure.
So, but moving on, let's just say I mean, I think we're all in agreement. I mean, are we going to put Onward at number 2? Because that seems to be the general consensus.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
Yeah, not even going to argue.
What about you, Dave?
Like I will obviously I on my list I have Wall-E ahead of Onward. Wall-E is a very interesting movie in the sense that they do so much without dialogue.
Yeah,
exactly.
True.
Like, and on top of that, it's a very beautiful movie. Just like the way it's shot and like how dreary it is on Earth, and then when they get to the space station and how just like how space is, it's just a very, very pretty film. Like I think that was the first Pixar film I've ever watched where I was like, and I watched this on like my old for the first time on my JVC TV, the one with the speakers that ended up blowing out.
I remember that.
But like it had a really nice screen, and that was like a 480p TV or something like that. So it's not like it's high definition, but even then,
it was nice.
Like the visuals and everything were absolutely gorgeous. And I rewatched it recently, and like they're still amazing. Like especially like even compared to like modern Pixar films. So
there's the Pixar formula we're all aware of, where all the stories kind of follow, a real simple, progression. But of all the 22 Pixar films, I can honestly say that I think Wall-E is probably the most unique and original, because storytelling without actually using words or dialogue is a very difficult thing to do. Much like wrestlers tell a story in the ring with their actions, Wall-E does the same thing without dialogue, and you don't feel lost. You get it, you go with it. And I mean, everything that Dave said, I'm not going to add on to it because he hit the nail on the head with that one. But it is just visually stunning. It's very Kubrick-esque, where each frame is just a masterpiece. And, I didn't know what to expect with that movie. I thought, okay, it'd be like every other Pixar film, but I was just blown away. And getting to watch it in ultra high def just took it to the next experience. So for me, man, like I love Toy Story 2. We'll get into that in a second, but I'm kind of thinking
Toy Story.
Toy Story, excuse me. I love Toy Story as well. But I'm thinking Wall-E for number 3, man. But it's gonna be a real shootout, because Toy Story, man. We'll get to that. But Bubs, you never seen Wall-E, so I can feel that. But what about you, Mike? You seen Wall-E, right?
Yeah, I've seen Wall-E one time. It was a long time ago. So like to be honest with you, I'm kind of having a hard time remembering everything about it. But yeah. So I'm kind of like, I mean, definitely number 2 for Onward, but yeah, I'm kind of like still kind of leaning for Toy Story for maybe number 3, because like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen Wall-E. So
I'm willing to put Wall-E at number 3 just for the sake of the conversation. I mean, Toy Story is fantastic. It's it's the first. It's what really started it all. And when it came out, we really saw nothing like that before.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as 3D animation, we thought Dire Straits' Money for Nothing was like the peak of 3D animation you could really get, But it's just it's a great film. I mean, it in a way it doesn't really hold up as much as it did back in 95 or 96 or whatever it was. Yeah. But I mean, it really started this whole revolution with animation and Pixar storytelling and things like that. But as far as Wall-E goes, and it's from what I've read and what I've heard, especially from you guys today, how revolutionary Wall-E actually was, an animated film that told a story with no dialogue.
Yeah, that's that's a pretty big achievement. So
I've seen bits and pieces of Wall-E. Yeah. When I worked at the group home, they would watch it a lot, but I've never been actually able to sit down and actually watch it.
Yeah, I think another thing that stands out about Wall-E is how kind of hopeless like the story is in a way.
Yeah.
Like, they destroyed the Earth, with garbage. And then they end up going to space and all the humans are fat.
Nice.
And they can't walk.
Yeah.
They've been in space.
It hits home a little too close, because it's like I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I think for me, I would obviously put Wall-E. Like, I'll agree and put Onward at number 2. Like, I'm fine with that, despite the fact that Wall-E was number 2 on my list, above Onward. But I would have to put Wall-E at 3. I can't. Like, I love original Toy Story, but it just doesn't hold up compared to other Pixar films.
Okay.
So
Well, what we have here, and the same could be said about Onward too, to a degree, is that we have a comparison of a visually stunning film versus just a solid story. I mean, Toy Story is just so smooth from beginning to end. It rolls, it goes, and it doesn't slow down. It stays at this great progression. And it's a relatable story. I mean, it's jealousy. It's the new kid in town. It's this and that. But like, I mean, we've all seen Toy Story enough times, or that story was so solid that you remember it. I mean, you can almost play the movie in your head. You could tell somebody word of mouth the plot of Toy Story. With Wall-E, it's a little like, okay, this is what's happening, but it doesn't seem full. It just seems like, all right, well, Earth was doomed. They went to space, and it's this robot, and blah blah blah. You can tell it, but it just doesn't have the same bang that if you watch it and see the visuals. Toy Story, you can read it as a book and be entertained. The visuals aren't there because at the time, 1995, they were still kind of, everything. It's still an achievement for its time.
Oh, yeah,
but
definitely.
To me, one of the movies of that time where the 3D effects still hold up to this day is Starship Troopers. If you watch Starship Troopers, I think the special effects still hold up really solid to this day.
They do.
And that was 2 years after Toy Story. So again, visually, it doesn't compare. It's Wall-E, but story wise, I think that Toy Story tells a better story than Wall-E. But again, this is a very interesting argument because what are we basing it on? So for me, I'm going to go with the visual because it's just so breathtaking what you can do with a computer and really paint this gorgeous image of space that we've seen pictures of. We've seen nothing like that. So to me, I think the artistic edge, gets it on this list. But Toy Story is fantastic too, man. It's a hard call. So for me, Wall-E's 3.
For me, how I based off a lot of my decisions on the list was more substance over style. I mean, because I've seen plenty of animated movies and shorts where the animation just isn't that great, but the story is fantastic. So I'd much rather go like substance over style. So.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. Like saying that Wall-E doesn't have substance is like, I know you're not saying that, but like,
no, I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, but like for anybody to imply that would be false because it is actually it's a very deep movie and it's very like, despite the fact that like the two main characters in the film don't speak and they only say like one word and it's just like a robot noises and whatnot. It's still, it does such a good job at, telling its story that it didn't need it. Now, granted, there is dialogue when they get up and, from like the humans and like the videos and whatnot. But with Toy Story, like, it was definitely groundbreaking. You can't dispute that. I think, and like, I agree with what Crispy said, is that it's such a good story and it's told so well that it just flows along. With Toy Story, I don't think there's any point in the film where I'm like, oh, this is boring. This is blah, 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 blah. Like, my favorite part of the film is when they get stuck in Sid's house and, Buzz loses his arm and he becomes Mrs. Nesbit. Like, I love that bit. It makes me laugh every time. But also, it's probably Toy Story has probably the creepiest Pixar thing to ever happen with like the cannibal toys. Oh
yeah.
Like there really hasn't been anything like that since. So.
No, but Toy Story does have in its franchise those dark moments. I mean, you look at Toy Story 2 where Woody has that dream where he gets thrown away. That's such a fucking heavy image, and it's just like, man, like, first you got cannibalistic toys, or the impression of, then you get this like weird fucking Lynchian dream, and then so on.
Toy Story. You can even go with Toy Story 3 when they're going down the trash chute and they're all about to be burned to death, basically. Like,
that was pretty sinister, yeah.
Dark.
Yeah.
So
I can pinpoint the exact moment you start tearing up. It's when they all grab their hands and look at each other, or they look at each other and grab their hands. That's when you start tearing. And some asshole when I was working at Sears told me, like, have you seen Toy Story 3? I go, no. He goes, they die at the end. I go, shut the fuck up. And then when that scene happened, I was like, oh my God, he's right. They're gonna die.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
Yeah.
There's a part of you that know they're not going to be harmed and that, it's going to, the story's just going to progress and have a happy ending. But there's also a part of you like that nihilistic part of you where it's like, yeah, they're going to die probably.
Probably. Yeah.
But
it's hard to argue that.
My one issue that I've had with Toy Story for years, and it still bothers me to this day, is that Buzz doesn't think he's a toy, but yet he still acts like one when Andy comes into the bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've had this discussion a long time ago, but it still bothers me to this
Some
day.
inconsistencies there, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of, I don't think this is going to basically take away that questioning, but someone did tell me something that kind of makes sense. It's that old like saying we've all heard, when in Rome, do as the Romans. So perhaps maybe it was him, just someone said, man, maybe it was him just kind of going with the flow, kind of thing. But still,
Buzz doesn't go with the flow. He doesn't go with the flow at the beginning.
He's a space ranger, so to me,
he doesn't start going with the flow until he goes to Sid's room.
Yeah.
So,
and he sees the commercial. Yeah.
It was just conveniently there for the for the story's sake, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's like the one and only issue I really have with Toy Story.
Okay.
That was just that one inconsistency.
Yeah.
But other than that, I love Toy Story. It's on my list. I think I had it at number 3.
Yeah.
Or number 2.
Yeah, I think I had it around. It was, spoiler alert, it was on mine as number 2.
But for the sake of the list, like
number 1, I'm sorry.
I'm willing to put Toy Story at 4 and put Wall-E at 3.
Yeah.
Speaking of
I'll
Toy
work with
Story,
that.
my wonderful wife's wearing her Toy Story shirt today.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey,
you
got a friend in her, dude.
Just a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah. No, for sure, dude.
That,
I got to turn the lights on here. It's getting dark, so just bear with me here.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'll hold my thought until at least Crispy comes back.
All right.
You can enjoy us for the next couple minutes, just being quiet and doing nothing.
Or Dave, let me show you really quick what's going on. My lady over here, she's building my set for my Batman film that's going on. Let me show you over here. So we got the Bat Cave over here, and she's kind of building like some fencing and like a street alley scene right there. So
nice.
Got all this crap over here. So there we go. Turn that around. All right.
I can't do that with my computer.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm gonna have to edit this out on the audio version.
Do you have is that a Mr. Freeze pop in the back there?
What's up?
Which one?
In the back right there, Mr. Freeze from the animated series.
Yeah, that came with the DC collector core box.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, like I'll actually be getting the Batman and Robin Mr. Freeze on Wednesday.
Sweet.
So,
yeah, I just got I've been kind of on like an eBay buying streak for my film, but yeah, I got the animated series newer one for the Mr. Freeze.
Nice.
I got that one, and I got the animated series Superman, and I got the animated series Batman, and then of course I'm like I don't know if you saw, but I got the animated series the collectible Batmobile.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's pretty fucking sick. So.
Didn't they just?
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, didn't they just release like re-release a bunch of the animated series stuff?
Yeah.
Like not too long ago.
Yeah. So like that's the one I got. I got the Batman, Mr. Freeze, Superman. So.
Yeah. Just remember, dude, they're not action figures; they're dolls.
Yeah, they're dolls. That's right.
When Jeremy was a kid, he played the action figures. They're not action figures; they're dolls.
Yeah, they're dolls.
Good for you, man. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Did we make a decision on what we're going to do with 4 and 3?
No, I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Toy Story at 4, Wall-E at number 3.
Yeah.
Onward at number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
One thing I did want to mention was how Toy Story reinvigorated Randy Newman's career.
Yes, it did. Yeah. I don't think I knew who he was before then. Now.
I mean, if you think about it, he only had one really big hit prior to that, and that was Short People.
Someone really had to take the midget bastards down.
Yeah, man. Just put them in their place, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so funny with Randy Newman that I had no idea who Randy Newman was until Toy Story came out. And then when I would go to Kings games and they would play I Love LA, and then I found out that Randy Newman, I was like, oh, he sings that song. Okay.
Yeah. It all makes sense now.
I was the same way. I knew the song, didn't know it was him, and then two and two together. I was like, well, there you go. Randy Newman talking about being your friend and loving LA. And
that's another thing.
Really like short people.
That's the other great thing that came out of Toy Story is having Randy and Pixar is having Randy Newman so Mad TV can make fun of Randy Newman.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Oh God, man. That is just epic. That's some of the best Mad TV bits. You can do a list about that too at some point in the future, man.
Right.
But yeah, I mean the Toy Story franchise is great. You can't find what?
I can't find any old Mad TV episodes anywhere, like on any streaming service.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is weird, huh?
That's true.
Yeah, but like Chris was saying, the Toy Story franchise just in a whole is fantastic. It's great.
Yeah.
So I mean,
exactly going to say that.
I've enjoyed all 4 films. I mean, we could do a top 4 with Toy Story anytime. Like, I think the one that I enjoyed probably the least was maybe Toy Story 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'd have to go back and rewatch all of them again. So,
yeah.
And you know what, man? Even though you'd have to watch 4 films if you want to do it in a row, it's your prerogative. But it's gonna be a fun watch, man, because there's God, something that's just I remember seeing Toy Story in the movie theater in '95, man, and then from that moment on, it was just like anytime it's on or I get a chance to watch it, I'm just like, yeah, dude, of course, because it's just. And then you go to Disneyland. It's such a big part of Disneyland too. You know, it's just it's just fun. You know, it's great.
Elizabeth really enjoys them too. Like she never really watched them up until we saw Toy Story 4, but we sat down and we watched 1, 2, and 3, and she's watched them a few times since Toy Story 4 came out, and she really enjoys them too. So I mean, they're fun movies. So
it's great. It's a great name too. You know, Toy Story. It's just you know you can do anything. Doesn't kind of you know
it kind of every time I watch it though it makes me think like I wonder what all those Power Ranger toys that I beat with my aluminum baseball bat in the mid 90s did when I was asleep. So
oh man.
Yeah, my pop vinyls are alive because I'll wake up sometimes and like a couple of them will be turned
and they're moved.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't know about you, dude, but if my shit was alive, then I'm sure there was a lot of times they didn't like what they saw. So there you go. There you go.
Like, oh my God, crispy now.
Yeah. Well, you know, you start off with you're a kid, you're playing with toys, and you keep on playing, but you substitute toys with other things. So. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I see you smiling, Dave. It's all good, baby. All right. So we got
number one. Any other thoughts on the 3 films that we just talked about?
Just watch Onward.
Yeah, watch it. Crispy, watch Onward.
Yeah. Watch it, dude.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And
if you haven't seen it, just watch it. Anybody who's listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our collective favorite Pixar film was Coco at number 1 with 9 points.
Yes, very nice, very nice.
It was the only film that was on all 4 of our lists. So
easily across the board, whatever you want to talk about that film, story, music, visuals. I mean, it's out of the park.
It's fucking great.
Incredible. Fantastic.
Coco for me, it was one of those films, kind of like what Bubs was saying about how he kind of felt when he first saw the stuff with like Onward. You know, I was like, I don't know if I really, because I wasn't really kind of into it when I first saw the trailer. I was like, I don't know, And I remember, I remember going to the theater and like Sally, like I was actually watching it because there was nothing else out at the time that I really wanted to watch.
Yeah.
So I remember going in there and watching it, and like after the movie was over, I was blown away. I was like, holy shit! Like how was I not on board with this movie from the get go?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it hit me.
I didn't watch one trailer.
Yeah.
I saw a few pictures, and I've seen the title screen. Obviously going to Disneyland, you see a few things. So I went into it not knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
Like I saw the kid with the face paint, and I'm like, oh, it's dealing with like Dia de los Muertos and all that stuff. So that's all I knew was that's what the movie was about. But I went into it with really no expectation, and I came out with it like, holy shit, that was one of the best movies I've ever watched. Just beginning to end. I mean, my one issue is the predictability of the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ!
That sounds like a goddamn gunshot, Mike. What are you doing, man? You banging over there with Wayne Brady?
I don't know. I think they're doing like fireworks in the neighborhood. So I apologize.
You got any protests going on over there, man?
There was one here earlier. So
peaceful protest.
You better give Patty the heads up, dude. She might have a busted toilet too.
But
oh man,
I basically predicted what was going to happen like 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
But I still didn't let that get in the way of how much I really enjoyed it. Just the animation, the colors, the voice acting, the music was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Like, overall, it was just an amazing movie. It was number 5 on my list. But I would say out of all of the Pixar movies, it was probably the most surprising of all that I was going to like as much as I did. So.
And even in that movie, like the last 5 or 10 minutes of that movie just fucked me up too. Just like, oh my god. So.
Well, that predictability, unfortunately, is kind of one of the downsides of the Pixar formula, is because it tells such a similar story, whether it's with people or the dead or cars or dinosaurs or robots, whatever it is, same story. But to me, what was really interesting was them going with the Dia de los Muertos, which is such an amazing part of the Mexican culture, and learning more about it. And for me, it's kind of been a big part of my adult life, because going to Florida College, they had a big ceremony for that. They used to do a lot of things in the art building with it. So it was always something that's so interesting. So when I had found out that movie was going to be around that, I thought, obviously I'm in, because I really dig that kind of imagery and the stories and the meanings behind it. But also for Disney and Pixar to kind of go into that realm, it was very curious to see how they would do it, But to me, every bit of it, like it was phenomenal. I mean, it was vibrant. I mean, beautiful colors. The music was just absolutely amazing. I mean, it's just kind of, as you go on this journey, it's just like you're there, and when you get to the end, and it tugs on your emotions, your heartstrings a bit there with everything. But it's just, it was on all of our lists, so it was a no-brainer that was probably going to be the number one. But when you really break it down, I mean, why wouldn't it be number one? Because just all these movies are great, but this one just stands out in very unique ways to each of us individually. But as a whole, we can all agree it's a great movie.
So good,
I love it. I mean, I can't really say it any better. The colors and the way, just like the effects and everything, is definitely what stood out to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has to be said about recent Pixar, especially with like films like Coco and Inside Out, just how colorful and vibrant and just how like amazing they look. Like, now, granted, yes, it's we're in 2020 now. Technology should be there, but like, it's crazy how long it took to actually get there.
Yeah. But it looks great.
Like maybe you could say like Up had that kind of same like vibrance and color.
Yeah.
But I think like Coco just kind of took it to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you guys watched the trailer for the next Pixar movie, Soul Man?
Yes, I have.
No. Not yet. No.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it looks pretty interesting.
Well, the concept of the movie looks interesting, but the animation, it seems like they're kind of going to more of a simplistic type of look.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
From what I mean, there are colorful moments, but there's moments in the trailer where it's like really just a lot of black, blue, and white.
Yeah,
Interesting.
true. Yeah, that's true.
But we'll get that. We'll talk about that after the list. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything you guys have said about Coco, I mean, it's true. It's when I saw that in theaters, I was like, man, this is actually amazing. I think I'm the one who told you guys to go see it.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
I look at that movie and I'm like, Coco is Pixar's attempt at doing a novella.
Yeah.
Because it kind of has that
assessment.
It has like that soap opera type feel with like, with like the murder of the one character and
and the injustice of it.
Yeah, and the injustice. It kind of has that like a novella feel to it, at least to me. So.
Yeah.
Plus, there were, even though I'm, not of that, ethnicity, but still of the, Hispanic, there were a lot of things that just hit a little close to home growing up, and
very much,
especially with punishment. So, it did kind of have that, feel to it. But
when she broke out the chancla, I'm like, oh shit, this movie's getting real, man.
Oh,
it's going down.
It got too real, man. That was just, oh man, I feel you. For me personally too, a lot of it I could relate to because, growing up wanting to, be a musician, play guitar, and not as bad to the degree as, he got in the film, Miguel got in the film, but it was very relatable to me too. So again, that's another, factor of a movie is not only how it makes you feel, but like, can you really relate to it too? You don't always have to relate to it. Sometimes you just want to escape and check out something new. But when it does relate to you, it hits home, and you're like, yeah,
it's even better. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go.
Right.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's the list, man. And 5-1.
Yeah, that's our list. To repeat it again, we had Toy Story 2 at number 5, Toy Story at number 4, WALL-E at number 3, Onward at number 2, and Coco at number 1.
Very nice.
Solid.
Very nice.
Solid. So since I came up with the list, I'll say my top 5 first.
Okay.
Now, me and Crispy were discussing this before you guys joined the call. I'm the only one that didn't have a unique film on my list. All 5 of my films were on all your guys' lists, so I thought that was interesting. I got Coco at number 5, Toy Story 2 at number 4, Onward at number 3, WALL-E at number 2, and Inside Out at number 1.
Oh, okay.
I really liked Inside Out. That was another movie I was really shocked that I liked as much as I did.
I was trying to figure out. Somebody said they didn't like Inside Out, and I was trying to figure out who it was. Like I don't know. Like somebody around us said they didn't like Inside Out because I don't know what reason it was, but I was like, how do you not like Inside Out? It's a fantastic movie. It's beautiful. It's
I know
hilarious.
Elizabeth didn't like it at first.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right, Bib? You didn't like Inside Out at first? No. But you like it now a little bit? Yeah.
It's grown on her.
It's grown on her a little bit. So.
Like the concept isn't original. Like I know a lot of like when it first came out, people were bringing up like a show from like the 90s that was very similar in the concept with like the feelings, like having their own like sentient.
You're talking about Herman's Head.
There you go.
Okay.
It was Herman's Head. Yeah.
But yeah, it's hilarious, and I love the part where they go into the dog's head, which made me laugh. Cool. Also, going into the dad's head was really funny. Like it was predictable in the way that they would go about it, but like I was like, yeah, it's still pretty funny.
Still pretty funny, yeah.
Did you watch the Inside Out short film?
No,
I haven't seen that. No.
It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty funny. Like if you like the whole going into the dad's head thing, you'll enjoy.
There's a lot more of that. Okay.
Yeah. See, I liked when they went to the cat's head because it reminded me of the little jerk that we have here.
All right, there you go.
Plus, can we also agree that Lewis Black playing Anger? I mean, who else?
Yes, that was great.
Who else could do it, man? I mean, it was just so perfect. This was great.
Yeah, and also, I can't remember her. Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler,
yeah. She basically played Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec for that role.
Yeah.
But it worked, and it was awesome. So, and you can't go wrong with Bill Hader. Bill Hader can't do any wrong. So.
I absolutely.
Oh. But, can't hate on Hader, man. No way.
Yeah.
But just one more note about Inside Out. The Anger Pop, the Funko Pop, is the heaviest pop I think I've ever picked up in my life.
Really?
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Do you have it or no?
No, I don't have it, but it's just like a solid piece of like wide plastic, so it's like super heavy. I don't know why it's so much heavier than all the other pops. I just thought that was interesting. So
that's funny.
But whoever wants to go next, go ahead.
I'll take it. I'll go.
Go ahead, Crispy. Go ahead.
Because I don't have my list in front of me, but I think I remember it. So Dave, if you have it, anyone correct me if you see it. But I think number 5 I had Inside Out. Number 4 I had Ratatouille,
which by the way, I didn't watch it up until like last week, but that movie is just so fun.
It's just Patton Oswalt in a Disney Pixar film is just like wow, but it works. It works great. Really loved it. Actually, that was the one I seen it when it first came out, but I saw it recently too. But number 3, I believe I had Coco. Number 2, I had Wall-E, and then number 1, I had Toy Story 2.
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with mine. Number 5, I had Coco. Number 4, Up. Elizabeth never watched it up until we saw it together when we were going through this.
Yeah.
And I told her, the first 5-10 minutes of Up are the saddest fucking 10 minutes of your life.
They are, yeah. It was crazy.
And, dude, I mean, especially for us on a personal level, it really hit.
Yes, absolutely.
But just the overall enjoyment of the movie, I really like. Because the premise is just so ridiculous, but the movie is just so good.
Yeah.
I watched Up like the same day I watched Onward. Like the same, it was pretty much the same day I come up with the list.
You were a mess for about 5 hours.
Yeah, you went through the whole tissue box.
That's right.
Like, I had no before coming up with the list. I was like, I had no real want to watch Up.
Yeah.
But then I'm so glad that I watched it because it's such a great film.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful film, also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Number 3, I had Toy Story. Again, I was kind of basing off the franchise. So really, I don't have a favorite Toy Story movie listed. I just put Toy Story.
Okay.
Number 2, I put Cars.
That's a good one.
I love the Cars franchise. Obviously, I'm a big racing and NASCAR fan. So
do you have a favorite Cars film?
Cars. I like the original. I don't know. I kind of like Cars 3 the most.
Because I know Cars 2 is like universally like the most hated.
I don't like Cars 2 at all.
Yeah. So.
When Cars 2 came out, I listened to one of Kevin Smith's podcasts, and he talked about how great it was. And he's like, "Oh, it's like an action spy movie within Cars." I'm like, I don't want to see that. I like watching Cars because I like NASCAR.
Yeah,
and I like racing, and that's what it's supposed to be about. And for me, like, number 1 was great. Number 2, step back. And I think Pixar realized that they made a mistake by going that route.
Yeah.
And they brought back the racing NASCAR type aspect. So, I just really enjoy those movies. Plus, like, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has a cameo in the first one. My new driver, Ryan Blaney, has a cameo in the second. So,
all I know is that with Cars 3, that first trailer that they released, was fantastic.
Yeah, like I when I saw that trailer, I'm like, damn, this is going to be a dark movie, and it obviously wasn't, but it was still very enjoyable. I just love the Cars franchise.
Yeah,
and number 1, which I spoke about earlier for obvious reasons, I've got Onward.
Yeah. Sweetness.
And I read that they've actually greenlighted a sequel to Onward, which which I don't know how I feel about yet.
Yeah,
because
what they would do. Yeah.
This just seems like it's just a perfect one-off type of movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Luckily with Pixar, you usually like even like their sequels are still pretty good. Like Cars is like the only one that's like not that good.
yeah.
Like, but so I mean, like I wish they would have put more time in between.
Yeah.
Like maybe like 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
at least. But
Yeah.
you know, granted,
Can I-
it's granted it's going to take a while to make the film, so it probably won't come out for a while.
All right.
Can I just say really quick about Cars that not a lot of people really talk about, but the attention to detail, especially on those racetracks, is absolutely fantastic. I saw a making of, and they were talking about how they wanted to get every bit perfect. And from what I saw, I think they did.
Oh,
so when you put that much detail into something like, the racetrack, which again, don't get me wrong, it's a crucial part of the story, but like every little crack, every little crease, every little thing, it's just like, my God, so, I got to tip my hat if I was wearing one to that, because that is just, thank you, Bubs. That is just, what good animators and good storytellers do, is just like, look, we're going to give you the full picture. So, Cars, all the movies have great detail, but I got to say with the racing aspect, and Bubs, you're more of the NASCAR guy between you and I know, Dave, you're into it as well. But, for you, that probably comes across as a firework. That comes across as being really amazing, because it's like, it just makes the story even more. Yeah. No, not me, man.
No, that was me right now. I just blew ass. So.
All right.
There you go.
Must have been that bean.
Kablamo!
Oh man!
All right.
My battery's down to 15%. So
yeah, I'm gonna go quick right now. Yeah, I don't have mine in front of me, but I think I have it memorized. Number 5, I had Bug's Life. Number 4, I had The Incredibles. Number 3, I had Monsters Inc., which I really love. Number 2, obviously, Coco, and then at number 1, I had Toy Story.
All right, do you guys have
That's
any
my top
picks?
5.
Do you guys have any picks for the week?
Keep watching NASCAR.
Yeah.
They're down to one race. They're back to one race a week format. So if you've got nothing to do on Sundays for a couple hours, tune in.
Sweet.
I had something I forgot. I just wanted to say, like, throughout this episode, we've been hearing fireworks shoot off, and I don't know if you guys have heard big booms coming out from my side of the camera, because there have been a few.
I haven't, no.
No.
Stop shooting off fireworks, please.
Yeah.
Wait, July 4th is literally less than a month away.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are doing it because of the protests too.
Yeah.
But the problem is, though, they've been in Riverside. They've just been doing it for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of the guy who tried to light a mortar in the middle of the protest and got it thrown back into his car?
Oh my God.
Did you see that?
Serves him right. No.
I'll share it with you on Twitter, Dave.
Okay.
But stop shooting off fireworks, please, because it's not only freaking out my dog and my wife and everything. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah, we're getting it over here too. So we'll just be randomly sitting here, and I'll hear the mortar fire off, and then I'll go firework just to kind of brace, and then just boom. So.
But so hopefully the next episode that we do, we don't have a bunch of fireworks going off and dogs barking.
Absolutely.
So.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I got some bad news for you, Dave, but that ain't going to be the case, because especially where me and Mike live, man, they're getting ready for it, because it goes late into the night too, man. It isn't just like the early evening; they go into like fucking midnight. I don't know. They're getting ready for some big fucking show, I guess, but. Hopefully it doesn't come across as loud, on my end or Mike's end, but it's going to happen.
I've been hearing a dog bark throughout the entire episode. I don't know if it's at Mike's place or Crispy's place.
That sounds like it's coming from Mike's end right there.
Yeah, not me, man.
Yeah, I think it's over here, yeah. Somewhere in this neighborhood.
We had Unc and Leanne working in the backyard, so.
Yeah.
So that's why you hear like construction noises.
We've been having to give Daisy CBD to calm her down. So,
poor Daisy.
So, and sadly, like, she kept like jumping up and down. Like, Claire's in the bedroom right now, so she's all So Daisy kept wanting to go back and forth, and the last firework that went off, it was pretty loud. So I don't know if you guys heard it, but yeah, Daisy freaked out and ran over to the bedroom, but the door was closed, so she was just sitting there staring at me like, "Open the door."
Poor girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, please stop shooting off fireworks. It's not July 4th. Have respect for your fucking neighbors, assholes. I swear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking assholes.
All right. Anybody else got any weekly bests?
If on Disney Plus, if you guys aren't watching that Disney, I think it's the Disney Gallery on the behind the scenes of The Mandalorian. It's fucking amazing. Watch that. Awesome. So yeah, it's good shit.
I was trying to think of something, but I'll just mention it next week if I remember, or whenever we record next.
I can't remember it. The hell with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for me. I don't know. So.
All right. Well, I guess that'll wrap it up then.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
But everybody, please continue to stay safe. If you're going out to protest or anything like that,
be safe.
Please just be careful, be peaceful. Yeah. You know, there's no need to be tearing shit up and lighting shit on fire, breaking shit, and destroying property damage. Because ultimately, you're gonna end up paying for it in the end, whether it's legally or financially.
Yeah.
So,
and we're just hurting our neighbors that way, you know.
So just be kind to each other, just love one another. You know, support your brothers and sisters, and just be careful.
That's right. Be the peace you seek.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll wrap it up. Right. But as always, we're your hosts. I'm Bubs.
I'm Debo.
Mad Mike.
That's way again. No, you didn't. Well, you did, but I'm Crispy.
Yeah. There you go.
I think we just need to start doing this in ABC order to be.
Yeah. So to get everything good.
All right, that'll do it, guys.
All right.
Keep on jiggling, you fat fucks. We'll talk to you maybe next week.
I'll see you later, boys. Peace.
See ya.
Later.